Guys, good morning. It's Nigel over here in Fukuoka, Japan, coming at you with a chili pepper soil video and the preparations that I've learned that I think are going to be a winning combination. Now, I do have to give a bit of a disclaimer. I am new to chili pepper making, but over the winter I did a lot of studying and I went through a lot of videos and I believe I've got some pretty good knowledge now on the soil content. Now, the three things that are the most common things you add to your soil are a compost, a potting mix, and some type of sand or vermiculite. What I'm going to do is take all of those things that I've learned and make what I believe is a super soil. All right, I'm going to show you some of these things that I'm going to be using. Some of the plants I'm going to be planting is the chipotle chili pepper, and over here I have a ghost pepper. The chipotle was started in March, and this one didn't have the enzymes, and if you guys are not familiar with that, I'll put a video link down below where I did an enzymes test with two different types here. And the ghost pepper, I believe that was started quite a while ago, around March also. So it's been about 2 months, and they're showing pretty good growth. This guy's still quite small, but I want to get them into a large pot because I don't want them to start getting root bound, and I believe once they move to their new house, they're going to start looking pretty good here. These guys are actually already starting to produce chilies. Okay, so here's what I'm going to be doing my formula. It's basically going to be vermiculite, and it's basically 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. But what I do is, instead of it being 1/3 vermiculite, I like to go half of that 1/3, and then I like to go with sand. This is river sand. So Pepper Joe, he's the chili seeds that I bought them from. He recommends sand because the roots like to get that aeration going through there. It doesn't give them any nutrients, but I certainly believe it gives them that root structure they're going to need to spread out. And also, peppers, they grow in the hot climates, and a lot of times sand is very common in the soil. Vermiculite is great for soaking up the moisture. And then the next one I'm going to be using is a horse manure. This comes from Kumamoto, which is the horse capital of Japan, and it's really nice. It's black, has a couple of sticks in here, but the consistency of this stuff is just gorgeous. And a little something else I like to add. I don't add a lot of this, but I like to add a couple of cups per pot, and this is called bokashi. Bokashi is a Japanese compost system, and you put all your vegetable matter in there and you add like an enzyme powder to it, and over time it turns into this black sort of compost. It's quite expensive for this, so I can't add lots of it, but I do like to add a couple of cups as my sort of juice mixture. For the potting soil mix, I'm going to be going with it's basically composted bark and leaves, and it comes from the mountains just over here. And this stuff is beautiful, it's fluffy, and it's just really nice to work with. And that's a really nice product there. And finally, I'm going to be adding a really neat product, and these are called zeolites. And what zeolites do is, I just started learning this one here. Zeolites detoxify your soil of harmful heavy metals. They recharge your plant fertilizer. It prevents leaching, it absorbs odors, and it acts as a natural wetting agent. If it's a natural and cost-effective alternative to chemicals in your garden. And what you do is you just add a little bit of this, well, actually you're supposed to add a lot of this stuff, but it's really expensive. So again, I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my soil. But yeah, it's supposed to be really good for root rot, and it's also moderates drought cycles. So what it does is it soaks up the moisture, the fertilizer, and then it slowly releases it when the plant's going to be needing it later on. So I'm going to be basically doing that. Okay, so that's my sort of mixture that I'm going to be using. I'm going to head over to the tarp now, and I'm going to actually start creating the soil mixture and start the mixing process, and then potting and stuff like that. So let's get started. Okay, I've got my 3 buckets laid out here, and I've got all my different soil amendments and what I'm going to be using. So let's get started with the first thing. You've got your horse manure. I'm going to just dump all the manure in there like so. It's actually a manure compost. So I should have had this one pre-cut here. And what I'm doing is basically doing the 1/3, 1/3. mixture. Okay, so once you get that, one full bucket, now I'm just going to place that in the middle, like so. This is the bark sort of compost that comes from the mountains up here. Good enough, about 1 bucket. Dump that. And the next thing is the vermiculite. And I'm going to be doing about half a bucket of the vermiculite and then about half a bucket of the sand. I'm actually out of vermiculite here, so I'm going to have to go grab some. Ah, here we go, I got some right here. I should have pre-cut these bags for you guys, but sometimes that's the way it goes when you're gardening. Okay, here we go. Okay, so essentially what we have is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of all those things, and basically I'm just going to be hand mixing it. Next I'm going to be adding some water just to get a little moisture. I don't want to have super dry soil because when I go to add the soil, it's going to be really fluffy, and then eventually it's going to sink down into the pot, and then I'm going to have a pot, half full of water or half full of soil. So here we go, let's get mixing. This is when you get down and dirty, folks. Make your own soil. Don't buy that pre-made crap out in those gardening centers. Make your own, at least you know what's in it, right? Okay, I'm gonna just add a little more water. Just keep mixing, mixing, and mixing. It's super exciting stuff. The smells coming off this is just amazing. If you remember before, I was talking about adding the zeolite, and this is going to really help the soil. It's going to take away a lot of the smells. It's going to work with the fertilizer. It's going to lock in that fertilizer into the zeolites. You're supposed to add a lot of this, but it's the first time I've started using it. So that's 4 cups. There's 5 and 6. All right, again, we're going to be mixing that. And I have one more thing that I like to add to all my soil, and that is bone meal. Bone meal's been around forever, and I'm going to add 4 good handfuls of this stuff. Bone meal is full of nitrogen. It's what the Indians used to do. They used to put the salmon under their gardens. And at this point, I'm just going to mix until it finally gets nice and even. Okay, what I've done here is I've just added some basic gardening type rocks to the bottom of each pot. This will prevent the roots from going through to the bottom, and also so the moisture can be released when it needs to when you overwater it. Pretty basic, right? And each pot has just the right amount, a little bit more in the blue one. Looks good for me. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so what you do here is get yourself your bucket. Take some of your wonderful soil mixture. Start adding some of that. Each bucket does pretty good, fills up almost about a quarter to a half of each one. Okay, so what I do here is I'm going to be adding some fertilizer, and this is NPK 843. And what I like to do is add this to the first bucket of soil, and I just like to add 1 cup and like to spread that around. And the theory behind this is as the later months come around, as the plant's roots are developing, we're going to be giving it a little gift present So it'll be rewarded with some nice fertilizer later on. So there we go, that's looking good there. And again, one more bucket. One more bucket. A little bit more in that one there. Okay. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Okay, so what I do here with the next bucket, this is the bucket that's just at about the 2/3 mark. I fill the bucket about halfway up, and I'm going to take some of my bokashi, which is the Japanese compost. I'm going to take one handful of that, and I have this other product that I found in the gardening center, and it's called High Quality Compost. It's got it's supposed to be really good for cactuses and other deserty type plants. It's got peat moss and vermiculite and a whole bunch of other things. I just going to try it out. I'm just going to add about one handful, 2 handfuls. And what I do is I just basically hand mix this. Again, this is the 2/3 mark up, so I like to give the new roots a little bit of juice. You could actually add a little fertilizer in here. I'm sure you could come up with your own concoction, what you think might work. There we go, there's a stem I was telling you about, the sticks you find. I don't want to have that in there. And just give it a good mix, and then just dump it in like so. Okay, and I'm going to proceed with each bucket with the same idea. Okay, and then I just go with the regular soil, the regular mix that I've created. Alright, let's keep going with the next set of buckets. I think this looks pretty good. We've got all the soil in these pots, and it's time for the most magical moment. It's time to plant our peppers in the soil. All that hard work is finally coming to a conclusion. This is a chipotle that was growing since March the 4th. Today is about May the 17th, so yeah, it was just about 2.5 months later. I'm just going to loosen up the root ball a little bit so we can get a little bit of growth. Definitely though, these suckers were getting root bound. You can see that. I'm going to go quite deep. Give it a little pat. I don't want to go too hard here. Just sort of settle it in. Okay, a little bit of more soil on the top there. Work on that base there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Again, never squeeze your plants down really hard because you don't want to compact the soil. And this is just the basic mulch. You can use, I believe, wood chips. I've used rice husks. Some other people lay newspaper around the base, then they use the mulch. The theory with using mulch and newspaper is the moisture will stay locked in the soil opposed to evaporating and coming out. So it's a really good idea adding some of this mulch. Also, I don't think slugs and other bugs, I don't think they like to go through this. It's probably not too favorable. Okay, and that is about it. After this, what I'm going to do is give these guys a dose of Epsom salt with a spray gun, and I'm going to fertilize the heck out of these things. Fertilizing you want to do about 1 to 2 times a week along with the Epsom salt, and you give them a good spraying. Okay, well I think that's about it. I hope you guys have learned how to make your own soil. You know, the idea of this video is for you to make anything you want, you know, instead of just buying Miracle-Gro or some sort of pre-made mix. You know, the mixture I showed you today, you could turn around and make your own soil mix, you know, whatever you guys want to do. But that's the base. I think I've made a pretty good combination. And that's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Give me a like. I enjoy it when I see those likes coming. It makes me feel good. Subscribe. I'm going to be making more updates of these. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.